Hello, welcome to She's Doing All Right. My name is Sarah. You're going to love this episode. Today I'm sharing my thoughts on the Lucky Girl Syndrome and how it's actually just another way to hack the algorithm of life. So first, though, I do want to say if you're listening to this on Google, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I'm not really sure what the other ones are, but it would mean the world to me if you would go leave a review and a rating. It really is the best way for other people to know whether this is worth listening to, and if it is, what they should start with. Maybe you list your favorite episode or a reason you like listening to it. And that would be amazing. So if you do that, thank you so much. If you do not want to do that, that is totally okay. I am just very grateful that you are here, listening, and about to spend possibly a long time with me, because I'm not sure, with all my notes I've taken for this could be a long episode. So we'll see by the time I post it. I'm guessing it's going to be between the 30 to 45 minute mark. So let's get right into it, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. You may or may not know this, but back in 2019, I started a YouTube channel and I ran until about 2021, maybe late 2021, I think. I still upload. If you watch this video on YouTube, it's because I'm uploading to that channel. So if you go scrolling way back into the depths of the archives, you'll find other videos that I've made 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I loved it. It was all about self-improvement. And I always ended it with saying, when we improve ourselves, we improve the world. It was kind of a nice message for myself every single week. Just loved it so much. So there was one video I'd made called something about like hacking the algorithm of life. And I based that off of an article I read. So I'm going to try and find that article and I will link it in the show notes in case you're interested in looking into that more. But the other day I came across that video, I rewatched it, and I was like, I can do this better. I now have more experience and different perspectives, and I think I can just do that better. So let's do it. If you are somebody who spends a lot of time online, or you just have a For You page, whether that's Instagram or on TikTok or wherever, you may have heard about Lucky Girl Syndrome. It is this brain-altering syndrome that is making all of the girls and guys who are diagnosed feel like everything works out for them. And they start getting all these crazy thoughts, like things just are always working out in their favor and nothing bad is really going to happen to them because they always have a good ending. They start saying things like, rejection is just redirection. And it's okay I didn't get that job because an even better one is going to work out for me. I can't wait. The vibe is, it's giving very much unbothered. And we do not care as long as no one else is hurt or anything like that. Everything is fine. I always add a disclaimer of if I'm like manifesting money or anything, it's like a simple one is like, for the good of all and to the harm of none, I am getting this in my life tomorrow or whatever. So I personally love this mindset shift, and I really like trends like this because they help shift the entire collective mindset. We are not adopting toxic positivity. We still are very much wanting to feel our valid feelings and emotions because that is part of the human experience. So we'll feel the hurt, but we're doing it in the peace of knowing that this isn't the end. It doesn't stop in the pain. There's always something better coming for us, and we're not at the end of our chapter or the end of our book or anything like that. And I do think it's important to point out that when something incredible, we always assume something incredible is going to come towards us and enter our life, which is a wonderful thing to think. But then sometimes we can get frustrated because we get through the phase and we're like, nothing better came. Like I'm back to feeling less overwhelmed or whatever. But the hurt that we went through might have been something for somebody else. We were used in a way to help somebody else get peace because that's what we're doing. We're all helping each other, whether we know it or not, to bring up different fears, different insecurities, different triggers, and we are learning from each other, whether you know that or not. So I think that's important to take note of. This is going to tie into the whole algorithm of life point, but before we get there, I do want to point out that some people have placed a lot of caveats on this Lucky Girl Syndrome mindset. There is a lot of privilege that goes into simply being able to adopt this mindset, or any mindset really that trains you to find the positive and learn from the negative. You have to have a pretty level life, or something in your life that is comfortable, or even you have to have come from something rougher and gone into something better to know that this is possible. Not everyone gets that. Some people's lives have been a backslide from the very beginning, or they are just in situations that are not like, there's certain situations I can't imagine trying to find the positive in. But that doesn't mean it's not possible. I am very much right now living a pretty lucky life. A lot of people would say I'm working from home. I work for myself. I'm on my own schedule. I don't need to be the breadwinner. My child is in daycare. I have more time. I am living the dream life right now for somebody who thought she was going to have 17 children and never have a moment to herself. So this is fantastic. There are people out there, like I was saying, in really dark situations, and because of their traumatic lives, I imagine that they look at this kind of situation of people adopting lucky girl syndrome or whatever, and they get mad about it. They get very frustrated that people are choosing to think everything works out for them. There is a lot of talk of privilege on the social media pages that I follow, and I don't think they have no point, but I also think that their perspective is part of the problem. So don't just leave right now, because I do clarify this a little bit as we go, but we as adults get a choice in how we think. Our thoughts are not reality. We have thoughts about reality, but our thoughts are not reality. So reality is absolutely a factor in our perspective, but realities can change. And the more we change our perspective, the more our reality changes. And the more our reality changes, the more our perspective changes. Life just gives us more and more and more of what we look for. This, I think, can be really tough for the people that dedicate their lives to a social justice issue or something like that. They're looking for other ways to implement social justice, which means they are then looking for places that don't have that. And that goes in any category for so many different things. So I get that that's where they're usually coming from, of like, you can't just assume things work out for you. Like, what a naive mindset. But again, I think, yeah, there's no harm in it if it's not hurting somebody else. And we are not doing the toxic positivity, as I already mentioned. I see it as a game of I Spy. So if you're driving or you're sitting out with friends or something and you decide to say, I spy a yellow car. Usually you pick it because it's one thing that sparked your interest or caught your interest. And it's something that you saw enough little yellow things, but you didn't see so many that it'd make it impossible to guess. But then as your friends start guessing things, they might be pointing out far more yellow things than you actually saw the first time around. So you start realizing that because you've told people that something yellow is in your mind, they start looking for all the yellow. And you start looking for all the yellow, and you have people in your life pointing out all the yellow. So likewise, if you start looking for proof that people are kind, the world is going to show you kind people and all the ways that people are kind. It's not just one way. Say you're driving and someone lets you in with no hassle, or you grab a coffee and your barista has a really fun, genuine vibe, things like that. Or maybe you decide to be the proof that people are kind. So you go buy a bouquet of flowers and you write like a note of encouragement or something and you put it on a stranger's car. You are now proving to the world that people are kind. And you are going to also attract more ways that other people are kind. You'll see it more often as well. This is how we hack the algorithm of life. In every thought and interaction and habit, we are telling the algorithm, we like this, we like that, this will keep me engaged, this will keep my attention. Keep showing this to me, please. So sometimes when I'm scrolling TikTok or Reels or something, I will stop and watch a video that aggravates me. It's usually somebody talking about someone else's drama, and those channels get so many views. So many people want a distraction from their own life, so they watch someone else's drama. Not someone else's life, but someone else's negative parts of their life, the messy parts of their life. Now, that usually makes me quite frustrated because I don't want anything to do with that. But sometimes I'm tired and it just holds my attention. So I watch it. And then if there's like a comment or something in the comment section that really gets me, I sometimes reply, and it has nothing to do with me. We are so separated from the original comment or topic of the video, you know? So every single thing I'm doing in that moment, watching the video, sticking around for it, tolerating the bad feeling I'm getting from it, and then interacting and trying to change people's minds in comment sections. Those are all different ways that I'm telling TikTok's algorithm to give me more of this, that I like it. It's gonna keep me engaged and focused. So the same thing goes for life. Obviously we're gonna come across things we don't like and information that hurts us, or something's gonna happen. That's just part of the human experience. But if we continue to overthink a negative or hurtful situation, or the longer we stay in it, we are telling life that that's what we focus on, and it's going to show us more of it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's happening to us, but those emotions, those vibes, maybe every one of your friends, like you have a really horrible day and you cannot stop thinking about it, so then it leaks into the next day, and you go to work and your coworkers are rude or mean, or one of your friends comes up and tells you how horrible her day was, or people start trauma dumping, and it's just, you start feeling really down because you're like, I'm having a horrible time right now, and everyone around me is too, so we just all feel horrible together. You're going to just see more and more of that, which there is space for that. That is definitely necessary. But again, if it's carrying on for too long, you're telling the world or telling whatever that you want more of it, or not that you want more of it, I should clarify, but that it keeps you engaged. This entire world is about getting our attention. And I think the entire lesson that we need to learn, not the only lesson, but one of the lessons we need to learn as humans, is understanding the power we have with where we direct our attention. So say that you're in that hurtful situation or whatever is happening, you can hurt and feel the pain, but also choose to move through it, not just let it hold you captive for ages and ages and then move past it, but moving through it and changing our thoughts around it. Finding a few things you loved about the situation or before the issue happened, or you can find 3 lessons you learned in the events. Or my personal favorite is this one's uncomfortable, but focusing and thinking about what emotions and what feelings am I feeling right now because of the situation, and when was the first time I remember feeling it. And that usually jumps back into a childhood thing, and you usually realize that you would not be so hurt by the specific action, but because this is like proving to you something that you assumed as a child or that you experienced as a child, it's now hurting you twice as much or 3 times as much, however many times you've experienced the same feeling from the same situation. So I'm kind of veering off into the world of healing your inner child, which that would be a whole other conversation. I really love that topic. If you want to know more about that, definitely please leave a comment somewhere or DM me on Instagram or something, and I can work that into one of my schedules here. So all of this lends itself back to the topic at hand of life's algorithm. From a really young age, we've been programmed to look for certain things or assume certain things. Some people listen to things like this, and I've seen this all over the social media pages where other people talk about this. The comment sections are often filled with people who take this kind of conversation where I'm talking about lighter topics, and they go, yeah, but what about this situation? Or what about in that situation? This is such a dumb mindset, whatever. Obviously, you have to focus on being prepared and protecting yourself. But there are people who fully live in survival mode, and that's what this mindset tries to switch from. It's not a depressed mindset. It's not a survival anxiety mindset. We are thriving and working through all of life's ebbs and flows, because we are focusing on the outcome and the end of the journey while still being very present within the journey. This hurts right now. This is hard right now, but I'm thankful for it because I can't wait to see what comes next for me. I hope that makes sense and that I'm not sounding condescending or anything like that. So back to what I was saying about how from a young age, we are programmed to look for certain things and what we are expecting to find proof for in life. So that could be like, what qualities are good or bad in a partner? What does money say about people who have lots of it? What do we think of money in general? Maybe we've been programmed to expect that everyone is mean, nobody cares, but there are a few exceptions of people who, if you're really lucky, they might just not leave you right away. This is all stuff that is built into our system by our parents and their lives and experiences, and their parents' lives and experiences, and it goes so far back. Generational trauma and generational healing are two really intertwined topics that I do love discussing as well. I'm trying to learn more about epigenetics because I was really into it and then I kind of just got sidetracked with I don't know what. So I haven't read anything about it for a while, but it's very, very interesting to me to see thoughts and perspectives and even just like reactions that I have to certain events in life that I'm like, where did that come from? Why do I think that? Why did I act like that? Because it didn't feel really like me. But then as I work on healing it, it usually naturally comes up in conversation with my mom or one of my siblings. Like we'll be talking and it's like, oh yeah, like that was actually something I've heard that our dad dealt with or whatever, or an experience, things like this. It's so interesting to me how much life our DNA carries and how much of the past our DNA carries. Like we are all unique, but we all carry different things and we've been shaped by our great great grandparents and beyond. Like blows my mind in the best way. So with all of that being said, I want to move into tips on how to hack the algorithm of life. So brace yourself. Are you ready? This one hurts sometimes. It starts with action. Mindset is absolutely crucial, but it is not nearly as crucial as action. And you are hearing this from somebody who is the world's best procrastinator. And I am always trying to overcome that because I have this fear of, I don't know, probably not perfection, a little bit of fear of success, like I mentioned in a previous episode, but also just the pressure. I don't even know. I'm trying to analyze right now, and I shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, taking action is very difficult when, first of all, we don't see success or results rather right away. And second of all, taking action is difficult when we're not entirely sure that we believe in the outcome. So that's what this whole thing is for. Taking action is going to change mindset. There's a sound, I think, on TikTok. I think it's a Beyonce interview. I only just put that together the other day, but she's basically saying like, don't just be about it. Or no, she says, don't just think about it, be about it. Don't just talk about it, be about it. That's basically what this is all saying. You got to do the action. You can think about it, you can dream, you can plan. And that's a whole other episode that was, I think, last week's episode. So let's say you want life to prove that love is all around you. It's surrounding you. Start with something, start with yourself. And the action would be to, whatever you feel loved in, honestly. But for me, I would go to the mirror and start telling myself how much I love myself. So I do try to use my name because it hits a little bit deeper. And I have to then force myself to realize I'm talking to me, I'm talking to Sarah, not just the reflection in the mirror. So I'd say something like, wow, Sarah, you look really beautiful today, and I'm loving your mindset this morning. I love you. Your skin is glowing and beautiful with or without acne. Sarah, you are a kind person, and I love that about you. I forgive you for the moments you weren't kind to yourself or others. You're still a kind person, and today you will prove it effortlessly. Obviously, I wrote that out in case you couldn't tell I was reading. but those are things that I would try and say to myself in the mirror. And usually the longer you talk about it to yourself, and you try and say it out loud if you can. It's even harder to do that, but it's something good to work up to, you know? When I do that though, those are the days that I really find people smile brighter at me, and I usually am like effortlessly smiling back. The overcast weather doesn't feel like gloomy as much as it feels cozy. And my posture is usually better just from telling myself I love me, because I'm not hunching over in an attempt to protect my throat or my heart chakras. I don't know a ton about chakras, but I do know that there's a little bit of stuff behind that because of my massage. The people that could not let me massage their pecs and open up their chest, or the people that came in and really hunched over posture, were typically the ones that could not speak up when they were being hurt during massage, like not in a bad way, but I mean just like too much pressure or something. And they weren't they weren't ready to communicate because they didn't want to offend or something like that. So yeah, when I find that I start by loving myself and telling myself I love me, I start with the action, not just the mindset. And then I am like way more open and bright and ready to receive more love. And I see more love around me. And then the algorithm sends me even more of it, because I'm essentially, every time I'm making that mental connection of like, I like this, or see, it's true, I'm essentially double tapping, like metaphorically double tapping on that. So double tapping on love. Every time money comes to me, it's a double tap on that. I love receiving money. Whenever I have bills to pay, I double tap. I love being able to pay the bills, allow me to stay warm and clean and read until midnight. And I love paying bills that allow me to eat with friends and buy zoo passes to experience with my family. It doesn't matter if love is coming in or out, whether you're like giving it in or out, money's coming in or out, peace is coming in and out. The more you notice that rather than the lack, or you reframe your mindset about it, that is also telling you, or telling the algorithm of life, you want more of it. So you can see then how the action of speaking love to myself has organically become a mindset that affects every single thing I interact with. Rather than a perspective of doubt or expecting the worst of things, I've then shifted myself to look for love in the world. And so this isn't going to take away the bad. And like I was mentioning earlier, we absolutely have to talk about the bad, and we have to address it. Things like human trafficking, racial issues, and poverty, domestic violence, anxiety, depression, so much more. There are bad things in the world, and they're not just going to go away because we choose not to talk about it or choose not to give it our attention. It's how we give it our attention that matters, because we could do great things with that, and bringing awareness to it is huge. And we're going to feel shame and hurt and so many negative emotions, anger, all of these things. We're going to feel that about those topics and about those situations, because those are real people being really, really hurt. And that's not how we're supposed to be treating each other. Life is full of the positive and negative, and it's part of the human experience. And within that one big experience of us on this planet, we are 8 billion plus fibers, each having a very individual experience. No one is going through life the same way. No one is going to have your entire perspective or experience about everything. But I do personally believe that by deciding that things always work out for you, or celebrating more when they work out rather than wallowing when they don't, you're telling life or God or the universe or the algorithm, whatever you believe in, you are saying, thank you, more of this, please. And then when you're sitting in a string of things not working out for you, because that always happens, things sometimes just don't work out, like they just feel negative and things feel heavy. We feel like we're really struggling. And sometimes those periods go on for a long time. And this is where it gets a little more challenging, but still trying to change your mindset to saying thank you. These lessons have been really growing me, and I am so excited to see how this works out in my favor. And it doesn't mean you can't go home and cry. It doesn't mean you can't throw a 24-hour pity party. Those are sometimes the best things in the world. You make popcorn, you watch sad movies, you journal, and you get dramatic and you just vent to your friends, and You can wallow and throw yourself on the bed being like, my life's over. This is the worst thing in the world. We're never getting this. This is never happening. But you're just venting and letting it out because mentally and spiritually and emotionally, you do know that things are going to be coming through for you. This is just a growing period. And I don't know about you, I remember my growing pains, and that shit sucked. So I like my height now. I like my body now, so the growing pains were worth it. It's just not very fun in it because you don't really know how it's going to turn out. You have to hope for the best. Anyway, if you have listened to this far and you're still feeling very pessimistic, just remember that we are all going to die in the next 80 to 30 years, most likely. That's just going based off of my demographic analytics, so don't take that super literally. But that's, if you're listening to this podcast, most likely you're between 20 and 60. So if we're all going to die, and our presence on Earth is such a minuscule blip, why not be delusional? Like, why not believe or pretend that everything works out for you? Why not choose to think that you are the hottest and the smartest and the most incredible person to walk this earth? What is the harm in believing that you are a good person who makes mistakes? What's the harm in forgiving yourself? Why not just go off on your dream vacation or apply to your dream job? It's like adopting a delusional mindset within limits. Obviously, you don't want to get put into like a penitentiary or whatever they're called. But adopting that delusional mindset that everything works out for you and that, of course, you're going to get what you want. It's just a matter of time. It doesn't hurt anyone. And we're going to die anyway. So why not have fun while we're here? And yeah, at the end of the day, in my mind, if it's not hurting anyone else, but it makes your life better, believe what you want, tell yourself what you want to hear, and take action towards the things that you want to do. If it's not hurting anyone and it's making your life better, it is inevitably going to make the world better because we're all connected. We are all individual fibers of the same muscle. And that's maybe not the best analogy. It's how I see it though. So anyway, that is the end of my little speech today. I had a lot of thoughts on this and it's a long one. So thank you so much for listening. I would love to hear your thoughts, and you could do that best by going and leaving me a comment or something on my Instagram at She's Doing All Right. I almost forgot. I almost forget this part. But the Instagram is at She's Doing All Right. And if you want to follow my personal social medias, you can find me on TikTok and on Instagram at sarah.g.carter. I hope that this brought you value to your life and that this episode is making you think. And if you hated it, please tell me why. Because I feel, from my own perspective, when I listen, I do listen to these obviously to edit them and stuff. I sometimes feel like I get in the middle of a thought and then I leave it and I never actually clarify what I think. And then, as if I didn't already have enough imposter syndrome of like, what the heck do you have a platform for? I then start being like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to be completely misunderstood. So if you are getting any of those vibes or you're like confused with something I said, please let me know, because most of my thoughts did have an ending. We just never got there. And we're hoping to fix that eventually, but practice makes perfect. So if you did really like this episode and you feel like people might benefit from listening to it, please share it. That would be a wonderful, wonderful gift. And yeah, maybe somebody else in your life wants to know how to hack the algorithm and adopt Lucky Girl Syndrome. So that is it for this episode. Thank you for listening. You are a beautiful soul, and I cannot wait to see you in the next episode.